Can everybody applaud this great cast and a great performance? I wanted to ask you, because when we talked before, we talked a little bit about history. So why do you think this play, which was first produced in 1981, set in 1944, is as relevant as ever?
I think you and I discussed this before in Ecclesiastes. There's nothing new under the sun, and it's so important for us to understand our history so we won't repeat it. But in some cases, a lot of people are uninformed about a lot of what has been told and what's out there, the information that's out there. I did this. You mentioned that I did the movie with Spike Lee. And when I did the movie, I didn't know this information, that at the time, African Americans made up 11% of the United States. And that was in the 60s, early 70s. But 33% of the soldiers that were in Vietnam were black. So I didn't know that until I did the movie. So it's really interesting for us to actually dive deep into our history and understand it. So hopefully we can understand each other better.
Thank you. And Tarik Lowe, welcome. We talked a little bit about the movie of it, where a lot of people are familiar with that. And of course, Denzel Washington played your part. Did you think about that as you were developing it, that it had already been there? But also, I'm curious, as a younger person, did you have to delve into history? How did you get into this particular character and all of his frustrations and complexities?
Wow, that's a good question. Yeah, I know that Denzel played the role. I saw the movie when I was young. As growing up, I was very familiar with it. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna play the same part that Denzel played, but I'm considerably better looking than he is. And
Ooh.
Is that gonna be an issue? But no. Come on,
We are starting something tonight.
No, but seriously, yeah, I mean, it was just, it's an honor, obviously, to play a part that such a great man played. For me, as far as my research goes, I did rewatch the film again, but then I threw it all away, and I took I took 7 days, and I have a baby and a wife, and they take up a lot of my time. So I took 7 days to just go away and be alone and study the script and do research. And really, I just love this play so much. As far as going back in time and looking at what things were like back then, I did a lot of that, but it's more about understanding who this guy is in the story for me. And my experiences come through these words. And so I know I'm a very different person than Denzel Washington. I never try to do what he's doing. And I just try to be me, and I think that's the key.
Great, thank you. Mr. McGhee, you were starting to talk a little bit about your role as understudy and having to know so many characters and being ready on it. I think the audience would really like to know how you prepare for something like that. Do you learn the whole play, or?
Yeah, Eugene in so many words said learn the whole play. That isn't what he said verbatim. He had some other words in there. But it's better to just learn the play. Unfortunately, we can all lean on each other. It's a lot of repetition. Kenny Leon, who directed it, always says good repetition is good repetition is better. So we're backstage more often than not, going over the play the entire time. So I'm pretty sure all of the understudies know everybody's part. We could just mix it up one day if we wanted to and get spicy and just switch it all up. But yeah, we just lean on each other. We have a great cast. Norm is teaching us how to sing, so that's cool. And we're working it out.
Wait, let me just piggyback on that. I'm just going to use my theater voice.
He's showing off. He's not going to use the mic.
But the thing about it is, AJ's very stealthy. He's very he's just very quiet backstage, and he's just, he kind of hangs out. It took us weeks before we knew he was in the military. He didn't want to have that be the front thing, but he had to go on one time because someone had a death in the family, and no rehearsal, and he was brilliant. He was brilliant. So yeah, understudies are really smarter than the people who are actually on stage because they have to know so many things.
It's a muscle most actors don't develop.
Mr. Lee, we talked a little bit about the movie, but what will audiences gain when they see this play live? I mean, this is a smaller theater, so it's almost as though you are in that barracks. Talk about that experience for the audiences.
You know, that brings the intimacy of this storytelling to bear, I think, and that's wonderful. I like the play better than the movie because of the intimacy. It all happens in this room, and it's kind of like you come into this room and you're a fly on the wall, and you watch this man take and gather facts and evidence, and you walk with him through the solving of this. There's a great moment at the end of this play when Peterson did it. It's kind of, and you know, I hear minds out there saying, "Oh, I didn't know it was him. I thought it was somebody else." But we talked before about what's wonderful about what we do. It has healing power in a wonderful kind of way, and that it's an insight into this play provides an insight into the African American experience historically in these United States, and it provides that insight across cultural bridges. It bridges the gaps. I always say it provides white people with some insight and understanding that they didn't come to this play with. So I think everyone leaves this play with something that they did not come here with. And I think that's wonderful about this play. But that insight into the African American experience gives people who don't know a reason not to hate. Because you cannot hate something that you understand.
Mr. Lewis, now you yourself are a pioneer. I shared with the audience, many knew already that you on Broadway were the first black fan to be. You want to give Robert Guillaume his
Robert
credit.
Guillaume, yes, I stand on his
Played it
shoulders,
elsewhere.
yes, yeah.
You've played Sweeney Todd, and in this play, you are the officer with stature that blacks and whites on the base have not seen before. Does that affect, or how does it affect how you approach the role of Captain Davenport?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the fact that I remember, you know, again, going back to the movie, because that's the reference that I grew up with, was it left an indelible mark on my life just because knowing that this was new. This was, you know, like something that people had not seen, and everybody was excited about it and stuff. So there's also a reverence to it and also a responsibility to it. So I try to do that as well. So like even when I was titled the first African American to ever play Phantom on Broadway, it was bigger than me being that. I'm glad I have that title, but people would meet me afterwards and they were from Brazil or China or, you know, wherever, and they said, now I feel like I can do it. So I see myself as that you know, that makes it better for me as opposed to me going around saying, hey, I'm the first one. You know, any of my colleagues could have been that. So I try to bring that to this character. And then piggybacking on what he was saying about the movie versus the play, when you see the movie is very cinematic, and I remember seeing it again after kind of maybe possibly being a part of this, and there is no narration. I mean, he just does his scenes. It's already told to you. This, I'm giving you the information. I'm doing a lot of, you know, explaining to you, and I think you get a better understanding of what goes on with it. So the intimacy is better. You know, live theater. Thank you for coming to live theater. Thank you for coming to live theater. Continue to come to live theater. It is so important. Bring your kids, bring your, you know, whoever you can bring to live theater and have them experience this, whether it be this show, Wicked, you know, whatever show you need to go and see. But please, please, please. So. Local, yeah.
Local. I guess this is a good time for me to say that it will be playing for 2 weeks. Time to see it again and bring your friends and family and tell folks. For Mr. McGhee and Mr. Lowe, I want to get your insight because working with these two gentlemen, it must be a bit like a master class. And these are folks who have paved the way. What are the learnings that you have? What are some of the messages and tips that you've picked up? And just watching.
Man.
Let's get into some things.
Well, these are both the loveliest men. Well, I was really, I meant that for Norm, but these are very obviously very seasoned actors, and just to be amongst them every day is a real gift for all of us. And for me, I feel it every day. I'm learning from these guys. I watch their scenes. I listen to them talk. I watch how they handle themselves. And it is, yeah, to say it's a master class is this is my first play. I've done other stuff, but this is my first play. And these guys have 60, maybe 70 years worth of theater for me to, I don't know, 80 years worth of theater. How are we looking at?
I'm glad I'm sitting in between you all.
It's just like, I mean, it's like being amongst grandmasters, and we're in the karate game or something. You know, it's amazing.
I think it's Mr. McGhee to the rescue.
Z. I think especially with Eugene being a playwright, I think Eugene is very apt at just finding like the truth and like this pure verisimilitude in the character that's just like there are no frills with it. This is who I am, this is who I want, and I'm gonna go get what I need so we can move the story forward. It's almost very technical and methodical with how he approaches characters. And Norm is charming, you know, and that's just what he does. And you like, you know it. Guy come out here with his hair slicked back, y'all see him. But you know, Norm knows how to make a character that you want to listen to. Watching him navigate these monologues that could just be torture to listen to if somebody else was doing it, but he invites you in. He invites you in. There's this song that goes on at the beginning, and we out the cannon, we shooting, we running, and then Norm comes down and just opens the door. He says, "All right, come with me." And Norm is brilliant at doing that, so I'm stealing it. So I'm just gonna steal it, and for every monologue I do going forward, so I can be the next Phantom of the Opera when they open it back up. Yeah.
These are two of my favorite people officially now through life. These bad mama jammas right here. I have learned and grown so much from the both of them. This person and getting me in touch with my voice and the power of it and how to use it, not just my singing voice, but my speaking voice. This person who is just cold. And it's always, when you're working with people on a team, people can keep secrets to themselves. And we have such egos about who can tell me what to do and how to do it and everything like that. But these two here are so giving, not only in their stage presence on stage, but backstage, dropping wisdom and knowledge about how to navigate this work. And it's so valuable to have that. I have learned so much and grown so much through this process because of the both of them. So I had to come out here and say that.
Well, thank you. Can you talk
As you were.
Could you just say a little bit about your character? Because your character is on a tough journey, and we feel that. Could you tell a little bit about how you prepared, what emotions that you really had to delve into, and how you brought someone to life, someone that others were stereotyping in the play, including obviously, the sergeant.
Yeah.
How did you make us see him?
I stand on the shoulders of great people. That's all I can say about that. My uncle was locked up when he was 18 years old. He was accused of raping a white woman in the late 60s. And he stayed in jail until he was 54 years old. And it just hit me before I went on stage. He is also a person that, had some mental challenges in himself, and how that gets exacerbated in confinement, And this is a person who's rich of spirit, who has a different kind of knowledge than what people may give him credit for. And that's a knowledge of people and how they can exist and be twofold. Because people might look at Waters and say, oh, he's a bad man or whatever, but he can see the pain inside this person. He can see this person navigating. And there's such a deep sense of self that you have to be able to know something like that and interpret that. And the world doesn't make space for those individuals sometimes. And so, it is an absolute blessing to do this because I know that I have my ancestors in me to help tell this story.
Amen. Yeah. Well, you have that great line about, well, I don't want to paraphrase it, someone who doesn't know
Yeah, any man ain't sure where he belongs must be in a whole lot of pain.
Yeah, yeah, very much
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
Mr. Lee, what do you hope audiences will carry away with them, come away with after they experience this play?
The truth. I have two objectives in everything I do, whether it's daddy, brother, uncle, actor, writer, or whatever, and that's truth and clarity. And I hope we've told a story truthfully, honestly, and with the level of clarity that this play wakes you up next week and reminds you of something and takes you to a place that you've never been before. And that's what I love about what we do, when it has healing power like that, when it can change your mind, you know? When just a little poetry, just a little storytelling can change your mind, and that can change your life. And that's what and I think there's something different for every person sitting in this audience. We'll take something, that's the specifics of whatever that is are going to be yours. You know, it's like, I don't think the world and people are going to change as a result of this. That happens when you sit down with you and your God and your heart, and you say, I'm taking the hate out of my heart. Now, if this can be a catalyst for that, that's what that's what I hope y'all take home. Take something home that will assassinate the hate in your life.
How do you feel about that same question?
What he said. I don't know if I can even, expound on that.
That's a cheat.
Yeah. But what I will say is that I want to give praise and honor to Charles Fuller, who wrote this. So,
Yes.
And he's passed on, so this is in honor of him. I think we might, come on out. This is it, come on. Okay, he's too scared, but that's our stage manager, and he's, yeah, there we go. Yes.
Okay.
And so, yeah, he's kind of telling us that we need to kind of wrap it up. But I'm just so glad that you guys are. Thank you again. I can't thank you enough for coming out here. Yeah, we feed off of your energy.
Thank you all. Tell your friends. Somebody in the audience wanted to ask about Scandal, but that will pass.
She dumped me. And she got to work with this one too. Yeah.
What? Oh.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, well, thanks. Well, no, let's thank again Mr. Norm Lewis, Mr. Eugene Lee, Mr. Tarik Lowe, and our West Charlotte alumni, Al Jalil McGhee.